Morning.
Good morning.
So I joined the Zoom call earlier because I was just killing time. I thought I'll just join now, and then
Yeah.
I must have closed it. I
Okay.
had to join again.
How was it?
Good. I had a great day yesterday.
Yeah. How so?
Well, I don't know. It felt like I got up early, so it was like a long day, but that just meant I got a lot done. Like I did a bunch of work in the morning, and I did a bunch of yard work, and then I had my call with Miguel, which was great. And
So this was your first time talking to him live, right?
second time.
Second time.
Because we talked when I did his beta testing for his voice app,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd had a 30-minute interview for me to share my thoughts, and we ended up being on the phone for like an hour and a half that time. So it was a good call. And then the Leafs beat the Canadians last night. Like everything in the world is good.
I like that. I like that. Fantastic.
How about you?
I had I was not nearly as productive, so I spent probably a couple of hours like fine tuning the app. Then had a real live, and I've actually recorded this on my phone. If you're ever interested, I can post it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Russian going on behind the scenes, so sorry about that, but it just
Sure.
felt easier that way. So
Yeah.
I was recording my wife using the app with.
Yeah.
So I gave her the premise like, look, somebody invited you to this app. Somebody sends you a link. Go.
Yeah.
And based on how she was navigating, like I spent another couple of hours in the story time, the live version.
Yeah.
Just adjusting that.
Cool.
So early.
Do you want to get into that stuff, or do you want to do a small episode first and then?
Yeah, small episode is. So I've been procrastinating still. I know that you have been like publishing things like crazy, going up all sorts of ways, in all sorts of directions, like managers here, interview there. It's like blows my mind because I've been I've been solely focused on the app. I haven't finished my sales page for my course. I don't even have a name for that. Enabler.
Yeah.
Enabler sounds very druggy. So I haven't done that, and I still haven't. I wanted to, but this just didn't work out.
Yeah.
This weekend, I'm gonna start the sales page right after we get off this call.
I mean, you've taken all the heavy lifting of figuring out Glide and stuff, so that's kind of freed me up to do some stuff. So it's been good. I'll share my screen. From when I showed you yesterday, I made my pricing more prominent.
Mm-hmm. May I provide a suggestion?
You may.
All of how they all work. Put a price that's much higher than this, like $47.99.
Yeah.
Crossed out.
Okay.
It's for whatever reason I've been reading about that a couple of months ago. It works.
Yeah.
It's based on. And hold on, you and I talked about it. It's based on price anchoring.
Yeah.
So you tell a person that it's cost this much, but now it's this.
Yeah.
And it immediately provides a recommendation versus when you look at $19.99, you think, can I get it cheaper? But then if you have something crossed out, it's like, oh man, it's already cheaper.
Yeah. That's a good idea. And then this is the new leadership for teens. So I've taken kind of a much more direct approach to parents. Use some of the stuff from copy.ai to I don't know, target certain things. I got another video I have to do here. And then I got to add my testimonials in at the bottom.
Testimonials is amazing in copy.ai.
Yeah.
Like testimonial generator is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well, I have 3 legit testimonials so far. So
hey, all the power to you, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel good about getting these things launched finally, or relaunched.
Yeah. See, sorry, go ahead.
I also had a great idea. Well, what I think is a great idea this morning in the shower, which is funnily enough in my course. where people get all their best ideas, insights, and realizations is like on a walk or in the shower or when you're not thinking,
Yeah, when
right?
your mind is not busy.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, for my friend Joanne, her business, like I was sending some stuff out to one of my peers on my course because she had sent on the weekend a bunch of notes that she had from interviews she did with people because she's trying to figure out what the cheese is for her audience.
Mm-hmm.
So she posted on the Facebook group if somebody could help her. So I said, yeah, I'll just send me the stuff. I'll take a look at it. So I sent it to her, and then she volunteered to help look at my stuff. So I was putting it together last night to send to her. And I realized from my interview with Joanne, like the things that she's after is getting her managers elevating their way of thinking so that they're not just like, they're great if you give them a list of tasks to do, but they can't come up with their own lists of tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I had this idea that one of the outcomes of the Leadership for Retail Managers course would then be to create a manager's committee in her business. So you basically, after they go through all the training and we go through the 6 weeks of me facilitating group coaching with them, then they start a committee and they take turns leading this committee so that they don't go back to just their own little stores. They now try to manage their whole business as a conglomerate kind of thing. And it would elevate their way of thinking about the business. And then she could back herself out of the weeds a little bit.
What's the incentive? Or what's in your language? What's the cheese?
For who? For Joanne?
No, for managers.
For the managers? Oh, well, the cheese for them is a greater feeling of ownership, development of their skills.
And you know that's what they want. Because recall yeah. some people in the work environment just say like, oh man, this is just more responsibility. Mm-hmm. Same paid, like why would I do this?
Yeah.
Not everyone's as proactive as you are.
No, I know.
So what's
I'm not thinking about it in terms of what they want so much as what does Joanne want and what does she need? And with the thinking that like invariably there's going to be people who don't want the additional responsibility or uncomfortable with it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that, I guess long term, those people will just not participate and eventually leave. And then you'll find people who do want to work in that environment. So,
oh yeah, it's actually, it's a very interesting idea. It's a very interesting idea. So Ray and I used to talk a lot about that at Pressima, about what's the structure of incentives. Mm. And it doesn't mean that one thing motivates everyone. It's not like you can just say, oh, I'll give you more money. And everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because for some people, you're right. Added responsibility is going to be like perfect.
Yeah.
But it's a worthwhile thing to maybe just talk to her. I mean, that's your coaching with her because.
Yeah. Well, this came out of the conversation I had with her in terms of what is it that she wants and what does she need. Mm-hmm. And it made me think of, I did a leadership course at Loblaws with new superstores when they were opening up. It was called Leadership Means Business. But one of the ladies I was working with, she had a graph that was like on the y-axis was your level. So like employee, manager, director, vice president, all the way up. And then on the what's this? This is the x-axis. On the x-axis was like a time horizon. So basically the premise of it was that the higher you are, so if you're the president, you need to be looking out 5 or 10 years in terms of, the majority of your time should be looking far out. And then the lower down you get the closer in time, unit of time. So if you're just an employee, you're basically focused on your tasks. But if you're the manager, you should be looking at, say, the week, what's going on this week. And the problem, the key to that model is as you go up the ladder, the narrower the vision of the leadership is, it crushes everyone underneath. Mm-hmm. So this is what's happening in Joanne's business is she's too in the weeds. She's looking at day-to-day operations, and therefore it's forcing everyone, including like her managers and everyone else, to be more task oriented. So the idea with this committee kind of thing is she can worry about managing this committee and being more of a leader for the business, and letting the committee do a lot of the narrower leadership for her and elevate their game. So
That's interesting.
that was kind of the thinking I had for
It's
that.
a very interesting concept. There's a book called The E-Myth.
Yeah.
It's all about entrepreneurs and how they grow their business.
Mhm.
And it echoes what you just described. So it starts. I had Natalie read that book, and it still didn't land. So there's a big chunk of entrepreneurs who believe that they and their business are inseparable.
Yeah.
So that if you don't do it, then if you're not the one doing it, it will never be done properly.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spend the time just explaining. It's a very good book, but it's supposed to lead people to the realization that the business should exist even if you don't show up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best business. That's the business that you can replicate. That's the business that allows you to open multiple locations, franchise, like do whatever you want.
Yeah. And that's the business that you set out to start when you started.
Yeah.
No one sets out to say, I'm going to work like a dog for the next years and have to do everything myself. Like in the beginning, you have to, and that's people need to rise above that. Yeah.
The story of the like, I could never get Natalie past that point, even though she listened to the book with me.
Yeah.
Like audiobook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she still believes to this day that she could never like branch out because she would have to be in both locations at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's a mental hurdle that you can't, that some people just sorry, that's irrelevant to the conversation. I'm just making an observation here.
Yeah, no, it's totally relevant. I think Joanne.
Some people will be
Joanne
attached.
is in that boat a lot, and that was the realization I had when I was thinking about the thing she wanted to get out of my leadership course for her managers was for them to become more like leaders and less like managers. The example she gave me was like at Christmas time, the stores are jammed and she goes in and she has to solve the problem, which is to put up like bank ropes to force traffic flow in the store a certain way and then free up space so that people collect at the cash a certain way. But like left to their own devices, the store wouldn't come up with that idea or that solution on their own. So she wants to live in a world where they would. But part of the realization I had was part of the problem is that notion of they're not doing it because she's doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The best analogy. It's funny how the same themes, they keep coming up. The best analogy is like with kids. As long as parents do stuff for their kids are never going to do stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a shock for kids to leave the nest. It's like, where's my food?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Parents think I'll stop doing this for them when they start doing it for themselves. But the truth is, when you stop doing it for them, they'll start doing it for themselves. You have to take the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the premise of this whole thing was, I'm going to talk to her about it at some point. But yeah, that was the idea I had this morning pop into my head for whatever reason.
Interesting.
So it's quite interesting.
All right.
Let's
those value packed episodes.
That's right.
Stopping this and